Hey, how would you like to make $100,000 a year in a digital marketing agency without knowing anything about marketing or even how to sell? Basically having the skills of a teenage boy at his first day on the job at McDonald's. Okay, we know that pitch is BS, and we hear it all the time. If you're tired of hearing pitches like that, and you really want to know how to build a $100,000 a year income with digital marketing services, I'm going to show you 3 different ways of doing it right now. Before I get into how to actually make $100,000 a year, I really want to stress that mechanically this is a simple process, but it's not easy. And to put that in perspective, the stats from the US government say that 48% of Americans make under $30,000 a year. And the median household income, meaning 50% of the households in America make less than this amount and 50% make more than this amount. And it's $61,000 a year. And household is more than just a single income. It's usually a 2-income household in America. So both those people are probably making $30,000 a year, or one's making 20 and one's making 40. It's not easy to make $100,000 or more a year. It puts you in the upper echelon. Some estimates say that it's like the top 1%. I don't think it is. I think $100,000 a year is probably closer to the top 10% of income earners in the United States. So if you want to be in the top 10% of income earners, then you have to be a top 10% performer. You can't go into something expecting it to pay you well above everyone else without having any skill set. You have to become an expert. Since my channel is designed for people who are experts, who are already selling their expertise, but are struggling to have a consistent 6-figure income or even going into the multiple 7-figure income, they're trying to get to the next level, but they're already experts. And those are the people that I'm talking to. But if you're a newbie, if you're somebody who's new, you don't have any of these skills, well then spend the next 3 years acquiring these skills. You are going to have to put in time. You're going to have a few successes and you're going to have some setbacks. You're going to have some straight up failures. But if you keep putting in the time, you keep studying, practicing, and selling, you will get there. Now, with my caveat out of the way, let's get into the 3 different ways of generating a 6-figure personal income using digital marketing services, or technically any kind of professional service. This is the way it's done. This path is the same path that I've taken from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3. So the first stage is being a freelancer. You are just out there selling what you know. You have your skill set and you go to people who have a problem that your skill set can solve. This is most of the people who say they have a marketing agency. They're really just a freelancer. They have a skill set and they're applying it. It could be Facebook advertising, Google AdWords, SEO, doesn't matter what it is. They are skilled at a thing and they're selling that thing. And there's nothing wrong with this. It's actually a good way to build up the startup capital to create an agency if you actually wish to have an agency. For a freelancer to make 6 figures, well, you have to bill $8,333.34 a month to have a $100,000 a year income. But that doesn't take into account the expenses of your business. Your business will have overhead. Even as a freelancer, you're still going to have to pay for things. You're going to have to pay for equipment, new laptop, new camera, new microphone. You're going to pay for equipment. You're going to pay for software subscriptions. You're going to pay for marketing. You're going to pay for your website. You're going to pay for all kinds of things. That overhead still has to get covered. But it's not massive. In today's day and age, we don't need mahogany-lined offices to be able to do our job as a marketer. We don't have to do that. So I would suggest that you earn $10,000 a month as a freelancer. That gives you $20,000 a year for marketing, overhead, any kind of equipment, things like that. You will be able to cover those costs because they're not going to be very high, and that will leave you with $100,000 in gross income that you're going to have to pay taxes out of. But this is a great way to build a solid income, and you don't have to do it full time. One of the big things that happen with freelancers is that they spend way too much time working on very tiny clients, and so it's a grind to make $100,000. They work really hard, and it's terrible. It's not fun, and you're always stressed about finding the very next client because each one doesn't pay you very much. Back at the beginning of my career, I heard this phrase, little hinges swing big doors, which means small number of clients can pay you a lot of money. And I did this mental math. I wanted to make $100,000, and if I charged $10,000 per client within a year, any 12-month period, I charged $10,000 per client, I would just need 10 clients. Well, if we want to cover overhead and stuff like that, which I didn't think about at the beginning, I didn't think of those things. If you want to cover those things, well, then you need 12 clients paying you $10,000. But the trick there is margins. If you have to put in a whole bunch of hours to earn that $10,000, then you could essentially have an effective hourly rate of $10 an hour. That would be a terrible life. You would hate that, and that's most freelancers' lives. To really enjoy your life as a freelancer, you need an effective hourly rate, meaning out of a 40-hour work week, you have a very high hourly rate for all 40 hours, even though you may only have 30 billable hours or 20 billable hours, or even better, 10 billable hours. But your effective hourly rate for everything that you do in your business comes out to a high level. I would say that that number needs to be about $250 an hour, if not more, to be able to have enough money to run your business, to pay yourself a solid income, and to maybe eventually move into stage 2. Stage 2 is a solopreneur. Well, it's not just you by yourself, it's you plus some contractors, maybe a couple of employees. So you're still doing most of the client work, you're still doing most of the labor, you're still creating most of whatever your company creates, and you're using a contractor for maybe doing some SEO, or maybe a videographer who creates videos for your Facebook advertising campaigns. There's a variety of these different skill sets that you may be bringing into your business, yet you're still the one who is handling the majority of the client work. This stage brings with it a lot more expenses. So you can't bill $10,000 a month and expect to end up with $100,000 a year income. At this stage, you need to be billing probably around $200,000, if not $250,000, to still be able to pay yourself a $100,000 a year salary, due to all the other people that you've brought in. The solopreneur is what I do with my consultancy. I've been doing this for several years. I bring in contractors, some experts and consultants that are outside of my own expertise, but still fit within the deliverable that we're giving to my clients. And this allows me to serve my clients very well. And it gives me the flexibility that having a bigger company with more people involved just wouldn't provide. And it's good enough for now. So why would you want to be a solopreneur? Well, I mentioned flexibility, but it's also the next growing stage. It allows you to learn management skills, learning how to manage clients better, learning how to manage a team better, so that you can take those skill sets and start growing into a larger agency. Now, an agency, you can't just bill a few $100,000 and call yourself an agency. If you're doing less than $1 million a year in revenue, then you're not really an agency yet. You're still in the solopreneur stage. You're trying to grow out of it, that's great, but you're not quite there yet because you're probably still overseeing most of the client work. You're still focused more on the doing of an agency versus the management and the growth of an agency. When you move into the agency stage, you're not a practitioner anymore. You may want to be, you may want to still be a great Facebook ads person. You may still want to be great at AdWords. You just aren't going to have time. You're going to be so busy focused on the growth of the company, the management of the company, that you're not going to be a practitioner anymore. And this isn't a bad thing. It's mostly a good thing if you want to have a sellable asset or a lifelong asset. If you want to keep this business for a long time, but you don't want to be a laborer, you don't want to be stuck inside of it, then you have to move into the agency stage. Because being a freelancer or solopreneur, those are just jobs. Sure, you don't have a boss. You have all the bosses. Every one of your clients is a boss, and they can fire you at any moment. That's not an asset. That's just a job. But an agency is sellable. This is why you want to do it, even if you're only earning $100,000 a year. And I've heard this from clients. Why would I want to do this? Why would I want to build this whole organization to make the same kind of money that I was making before by myself? Well, the answer is asset. It's an asset builds wealth. A job gives you cash that you can invest into other things, but an agency becomes an asset all on its own and gives you cash to invest in other things. It's a wealth creation vehicle. That's why you want an agency. If you're not concerned about that, then stay a solopreneur, stay a freelancer. Don't go through the hassle and the stress of building an agency just to make $100,000 or a couple $100,000 a year in a salary. To be able to pay yourself $100,000 a year, you need to break the $1 million a year revenue. If you're paying yourself more than 10% of the revenue that you're bringing in and you're under $1 million a year, you're going to struggle at growth. Everything about growing is going to be very difficult. So you have to keep your own personal expenses low so that you can take very little out of the company to be able to put it back into creating an asset. You're investing into an asset that could be sellable or you could retire from. Here's the great thing about an agency. When you build a team that attracts great clients, then you will start billing millions of dollars. Even though your net income percentage-wise may not change, you may still be earning 20% or 30% or maybe even 40% net income, but 20% of $10 million is far more attractive than 20% of $1 million. So those are the three ways to be able to pay yourself $100,000 or more. But this math isn't complete if we don't talk about how many clients. If you listen to gurus out there, they'll tell you to go get 20 or 30 clients a month. That's a terrible business. High churn rate, your employees are unhappy. It's a terrible way of living. It's a high stress business model. I don't recommend it. I recommend getting 10 to 12 clients, and that's it. So if you're a freelancer, 10 to 12 clients. If you're a solopreneur, 10 to 12 clients. If you're an agency, at least in the early stages before your team's larger, 10 to 12 clients. So what does that mean? Well, you need to bill far more per client than you did in the previous stage. So if you're a freelancer and you've got 12 clients and you're billing them $10,000 in a year and you're making $120,000, to be able to move into the solopreneur stage, you're going to have to double or more the amount that you're charging your clients. Well, your previous clients are probably not going to pay double. So you're going to have to go out and find bigger clients to be able to move from freelancer stage to solopreneur stage, which means you need to be billing about $25,000 or more per client to be able to make that switch. I recommend you find a way to bill each of your clients $50,000 a year, typically in the form of multiple projects in the course of a year and some form of monthly recurring revenue. Okay, so that means to move into agency stage, well, we have to go from $250,000 or more to $1 million or more. So that means if we're having 10 to 12 clients, we need to be billing 6 figures per client as a minimum. Minimum engagement level with each of our clients is going to have to be $100,000 or more. That doesn't mean one project and they pay you $100,000 for that one project. It could, or it could be that you do 3 projects with them that they pay you $35,000 or $40,000 a piece on. Or you build out a whole campaign where the whole front end is loaded with strategy, thinking, creativity, and the building blocks of that campaign, and then the rest of the year is the maintenance of it, the managing of it, the split testing, all those other elements of running a campaign. But that's the math. If you want to make $100,000 or more per year, and you want to build an asset at the same time, an agency, then you have to move into 6-figure billing to be able to have a solid agency that does not ruin your life, that doesn't put you under immense amounts of stress to be able to achieve it. If you want to get advanced and you want to get into 5 million, 10 million and more for your agency, well then you've got the foundation with these first 10 to 12 clients paying you 6 figures a piece. You have the foundation necessary to hire great people to help you build that 10 million or 20 million or $100 million agency. Hopefully you've gotten some insight as to the way you wish to earn $100,000 or more in a way that's not going to stress you out. It's not going to drive you crazy in the attempt. And if you like the video, well then like the video and share and follow and do all the socials. And let's meet right back here in the next video.